Good evening, Westport, and welcome to a very special live virtual broadcast inside the forum of the Westport Library of everyone's favorite podcast, Oh Brother, Not Another Podcast. I'm your guide, Bill Harmer, the director of the Westport Library. For all of you watching at home this evening, you are in store for an extraordinary treat. The Burroughs brothers, Westport's own Miggs and Trace, have prepared an extravagant and engaging magical oddcast of videos, celebrity appearances, musical performances, live interviews, as well as unexpected and unique special cameos that will defy your expectations. The brothers Burroughs have assured me and the public that their production will be second to none. So get comfy in your favorite chairs, mix up one of your go-to cocktails, get your popcorn out, fasten your seatbelts, please, because I think you're going to need them, and join us for a psychedelic ride that is sure to delight your senses and tickle your fancies. And away we go.
Thanks a lot, Bill.
I want to congratulate Miggs and Trace on their podcast. What am I talking about? It should have been my podcast. Oh, Snuggles. Not another podcast. Oh, Snuggles, 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 Snuggles podcast. Oh, listen to Snuggles, Snuggles. I love me, love me, love me. Podcast. Snuggles.
Oh, Snuggles. Look at cuddly little Snuggles.
Oh, that's incredible. It always cracks me up. Welcome to Oh Brother, Not Another Podcast, live from the Trev's Forum at the Westport Library. We're really here. We have some guests here and some interesting videos and animations to come, celebrity appearances. And I just want to thank, first of all, Bill Harmer for initiating this and inviting us. He's now in the Witness Protection Program in Wisconsin, I think. And to Alice Giannini and Cody Daigle Orions, and David Bibby for all their help and support and tech help. But anyway, this should be fun, at least for us. So we want to start right off. Actually, I'll hand it to Trace because he has something to introduce.
So for people who don't know much about me, I've done some quirky things, and here's a little video. Alec, take it away.
I've done some quirky things in my life. When I was 10 years old, I was the biggest winner on the CBS game shows, Video Village at Monty Hall, and then on Make a Face, and won a whole bunch of stuff. And in the 20s, I was on Crosswits, where I was partnered with Carolyn Jones of the Addams Family. I lost, and they gave me a big bag of nail polish. Between the ages of around 10 and 15, I was an abstract painter. Sold over 300 paintings, was in shows all around Fairfield County, one of which is in the Westport Municipal Art Collection. At 13, I took drum lessons and was in lots of local bands. Styx, Tool, Circus, Bad Aussies, and Rogues. Timmy Wayne was in the Rogues. His dad was David Wayne, the Mad Hatter in the Batman TV series. Larry Hagman of Dallas Night Dream of Jeannie walked around their house naked with a big bag of pot. That's true. 40 years later, I'm in the Screaming Bullets. We were on Oprah's show for 5 seconds. And then back in the 70s, Super Solo, that's me. When I was 21, I went to England to become the world's most famous rock drummer, and I saw Chas Chandler, the bass player of the Animals and Jimi Hendrix manager. I chased him down the street, invited me the next day to come to his office. So I went there and I said, I'm the Jimi Hendrix of drumming. And he said, if you ever use my name with yours, I'll castrate you. So now, back in the USA, so on my quest to become the world's most outrageous sensational drummer, I broke 2 Guinness Book records for marathon drum soloing, one for 505 hours. Was on To Tell the Truth because of that, midday live, and got some national press. Called myself Super Solo. John Entwistle of The Who, in an interview, mistakenly referred to me as Superman. Then I was interviewed by David Frost. Caught my arms on fire. I invented drumsticks that shot fireballs. Made a huge t-shirt 50 by 32 feet, put Super Solo on it, brought it to Manhattan, spread it out in Rockefeller Center, set up my 4 sets of drums, did a drum solo, crowd came around, got some press, and then I got a ticket for obstructing traffic. Shot fireballs out of my drumstick. Auditioned for several famous bands, didn't get in. Finally, I was asked to be in Mountain after Carmen Appice left. That lasted about 12 hours. Had a fight with Leslie West. He threatened to ruin my career in my upcoming audition with Alice Cooper. Went to LA to become the world's most famous drummer. Got a job at Warner Brother Records, got drunk and drove my car into a movie theater, then became a graphic artist. Went back to Connecticut. In 1989, I made the world's largest pair of women's panties, 50 feet long, 32 feet high, for Howard Stern's most outrageous stunt contest. Draped them on a building in Manhattan. Became a kids' television show writer, known for 7 shows in Nickelodeon. Entered up as a voiceover announcer on the show Total Panic.
Mr. Tracy, please tell us what our runners-up have won over here.
It's Shinsei's Turbo Golden Hawk radio-controlled race cars.
Wrote 11 or 12 screenplays with my best friend Ian McNamee. Didn't sell any. So I acted as my own manager. I called myself Steven Weisberg. Disney would ask me for projects, and I would send them the screenplays and then talk about me, Trace Burroughs, as Steven Weisberg. After a while, that got kind of awkward. Now it's in the 90s. Produced, wrote, directed, and acted in a sketch comedy pilot, kind of like Saturday Night Live, called Tunivision. Terry Southern, a screenwriter for Dr. Strangelove, The Loved One, and worked on Easy Rider and was a writer on Saturday Night Live. Thought it was very funny. Carolyn Strauss from HBO said, nice first try. Got into broadcast design. Made thousands of templates and they were sold around the world. One to Burt Ward, who played Robin in the Batman TV series. See? Another Batman reference. Was in a trauma horror comedy film and played a demented ventriloquist. That's right, I had to eat my own arm, among other things. Had 6 brick and mortar published books. One of them, Star Morphs, was on all 3 network morning shows, including Regis and Kathy Lee. And then a dozen or so self-published books. Then I got into animation. Some of my clients were Howard Stern, Margaret Cho, and Rita Rudner. Had a series developed on HBO called BS Into the Night. Stuff was on Showtime and at the movie theaters. Took a break and was on the Mark L. Wahlberg show. Slung roasted chickens across Manhattan Street with a 10-foot wide giant slingshot made of surgical tubing. Mark was on the other side with the catcher's mitt catching the chickens. Then I rented on a show called Bugged, which was on MSNBC. Around 2006, wrote, directed, and produced 3 feature-length films. 8 Behind the Wheel, Grindhouse Bad, Cheap, and Sexy, and The Animation Extravaganza, which was a compilation of 20 years of my animation. A couple of these movies are still on Amazon. Was a host on the radio show Seek, Find, Keep. It was a relationship show on the Matrix Talk Network. A couple of my guests were June DeYoung, Psychic to the Stars, and an adult baby. Around this time, Debbie Blair, sister of Linda Blair, star of The Exorcist, asked me to be her book agent and sell her book, a memoir about alleged abuse in the Blair family, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Oprah and Dr. Phil wanted the sisters on the show. Linda said no, and she threatened to sue me. Any producers out there? I own the rights to the finished screenplay. Took singing lessons, and I've been singing in the area for about 10 years now. I write songs in different genres, and I create art. And now I'm on a podcast with my brother Miggs on iTunes, produced by the Westport Library and the Quick Center for the Arts. Oh, brother, not another podcast.
That's what happens when you inhale too much helium.
Mr. Tracy, whose idea was that?
The host of the show, they just came up with that out of the blue.
I didn't know half that stuff, I swear. I mean, he's only my brother, but I wondered what you did when you left the house. I guess, now I know.
Making that slingshot.
Yeah, well, if you think Snuggles blew you away in terms of the caliber of celebrity that we have, Alex, roll the next celebrity, please.
The least entertaining thing in the entire universe, these 2 numbnuts are. May the force go anywhere but with them. Turning in his grave, Frank Oz he is.
What is Yoda anyhow? I mean, what kind of animal is he? He looks like a leprechaun that married Chewbacca.
Or ate a possum, I don't know.
It's sort of like, what happens when you do something like that.
I don't know. We have more to come.
Hey,
There you
my
go.
microphone's on.
Okay. Well, let's introduce our first guest, Dan Wogue. Everybody should know from his famous blog, 06880 in Westport, and he's been called Mr. Westport because he knows
He writes about all things Westport.
all things Westport.
How long have you been doing that for?
Too long. The blog is started in 2009 and writing long before that for the Westport News.
Yeah, and it's always, now you've tapped into so many things. What's the burning, beside COVID, because that's everywhere, but what are Westporters right now? What do you get the most comments from about?
Boy, that's a good question. It used to be parking. It's the really menial stuff. I could do something that's really, really important, something meaningful about racism or something like that, and it gets a good number of comments. But if I put a dog or a goose or a duck, or especially a cat, they come out of the woodwork. People love animals. A lot of stuff about people walking in the road instead of on the sidewalks.
Out of all the things you've written about, what got the most negative response, like people getting angry?
People get angry about little things. Whether it's people not picking up after their animals in Winslow Park or something like that. Those get the most comments. But there's no way I can control the readers. I have no idea where they're going to come from. Sometimes they'll seize on a little thing that I've written and go off on it. But it's an open forum. Anybody can talk. Anybody can comment. Please use your real name. A couple of people try to slide in there, and it's whack-a-mole with the trolls. Knock them down, and then they come back.
So what you've, I'm going to throw out a name. I think you know this name. Our parents actually were friends with this person and his family. Anyway, I won't say any more because you'll know Julian Frank. What does that conjure up?
Julian Frank. Julian Frank was, he blew up a plane.
Yeah.
He was the first, I think, the first terrorist that blew up a plane came from Westport.
Well, he blew up an Eastern Airlines plane over North Carolina, I think in 1959 or 1960, blew himself up with it. They found him much further away than his fellow passengers. But in the wreckage, they found my father's business card.
Oh, wow.
Really?
My father was his stockbroker.
Oh, I thought he was a bomb maker.
No. My father was a pacifist. So the FBI came knocking at his office, and he had to basically tell them that he had nothing to do with blowing up an airplane.
That's amazing.
I remember when that happened when I was just a kid. It terrified me, the idea that my parents knew somebody blew up a plane.
I was in the old library building, so I was like 15 or something then, and some kid came screaming upstairs, in the old building across the street, oh my God, the Franks and this and that, and nobody knew what they were talking about. And then, it was the most scandalous thing. It's still not like an open case, isn't it? They don't really. Well, anyway.
They've only found particles after that.
Let's move on to something brighter, like the serial killer that worked at Big Top. Right?
Oh, God, thanks. Thanks.
Do you know about
You
that?
remember that one? Jeff Ferguson?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Ferguson, who burned the...
He executed, 4 or 5 kids, execution style. They were in their early 20s up in Georgetown.
Georgetown, where he owned the building.
The building where they rented, and they didn't pay their rent, so he took care of them.
I would
That's a
much
warning for
rather
you people
talk
out
about
there to pay your rent on time.
much rather talk about the hamburgers at Big Top rather than the serial killers who worked there.
Do you have any trivia for us or for the audience? Throw out there?
Sure. Okay. This library, this beautiful library with nobody in it, unfortunately, sits on a very famous piece of property. What was this property before the library was built here?
I don't remember.
A dump.
A dump.
Oh.
Not only a dump, the dump.
What a dump.
The town landfill.
And that's what they built the Levitt on, too, right?
Right. It's built on landfill, so it was sitting here, right over there, in the Taylor parking lot, was a Little League diamond. So we played baseball right next to the dump with all the seagulls circling. And what famous person did something at the dump? Didn't take a dump, but did something at the dump.
Come on.
Person did something at the dump. No, you got me. I have no clue.
I have no idea.
It was Amy Vanderbilt, the well-known etiquette expert,
Yeah.
had a tea party atop the dump.
What?
The reasons escape me. But it made national news that Amy Vanderbilt had a tea party at atop the Westport town dump.
Whoa, that's amazing.
I guess you weren't invited.
Isn't it? No, I missed that one.
Never heard of that one, yeah.
But I do remember driving by, or Dad would drive downtown on Riverside Avenue, and we'd look out the window and see that cloud of seagulls swirling.
Yep, a flock
And the
of
smell
seagulls.
was bad.
Yeah. Yeah, there was, any other little tidbits?
Any other scandals?
We have, or I could mention another, let's see.
What is the oldest, two-part question,
Yeah.
the oldest business in Westport and the oldest restaurant?
I mean, it's still around today?
Yes.
Gee, I have no idea.
Business, I would guess Galt.
Galt, 1863.
I was right? It's Galt?
Yeah, 1860. That's so long ago.
Yeah.
And they've changed with the times. They started, hauling stuff in their wagons, and they moved on to oil and gravel, and now they're home energy. But 1863 is a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the restaurant would
The
be...
oldest restaurant.
Restaurant would be, Rye Ridge Deli? No.
Close. You're close that it's a deli.
Oh, no. Oscars? No. Oh, Gold's.
Gold's.
Of course.
Gold's, the great Gold's delicatessen.
Julius Gold, who also, and we have our guest, one of our guests coming up is Melissa Newman, and Julius Gold helped Paul Newman with the salad dressing, right?
Right, and then got sued by him.
Yeah. Well,
Or
okay.
one of them sued the other. It did not end well.
Yeah, it didn't end well, but yeah. So
Ended in court.
Well, Dan, where people can reach Dan is 06880.com? Is it
No,
simple
it's
as that?
06880danwogue.com. Post every day, several times a day, direct to your inbox.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah,
It's
thanks so
it's
much,
fascinating.
Dan. And look, just tune into his blog because it's something new every day and controversial and fun.
My pleasure.
Great. So we're actually, I'm going to check comments. I should give a shout out to some people here. Melissa Newman said Viva's. Is Viva Zapata
That's right.
older
Viva
than,
was started
than
out in
Gold's?
this. There goes Dan. Too late. We had our chance. Now he's gone.
Yeah, he's okay. Too bad.
Yeah.
Let's see. I wanted to give a shout out to a few. Priscilla Long is listening. Yes, no. Rachel's listening. Lenore. Hi, Lenore. Let's see. Barbara. Where is she? And Diane. Barb Steffens is listening, watching.
So we have
Thank
another
you.
celebrity guest. Miggs, you saw Bohemian Rhapsody, right?
Yeah.
Well, Alex, next.
Oh yeah. Please roll the next celebrity.
Now, by the royal decree, I am ordering everyone within the sound of my voice to turn off this nonsense and spank a corgi.
I don't remember seeing her in that movie. I wanted to see her strut around with the microphone stand. That's my favorite part about the Queen.
But didn't she say spank a corgi?
Yeah,
at the end
why
of that?
would you want to do that?
That's, Dan just said the animal thing is a big deal.
We're gonna hear about
Somebody's-
that
We're
now.
going to get written up.
So Miggs.
Yes.
So Miggs.
My turn.
Tell us about your Signs of Compassion project.
So this is a short video. I did this project. I do this lenticular artwork, which is photos that change when you walk by, and I did an installation of 30 of these photos, each one depicting a person, some of whom are here, actually. Alex is in it. Melissa Newman's in it. Bill Harmer's in it. Our first selectman's in it, expressing a poem in sign language, but the video kind of speaks for itself. So Alex, roll the video, please.
Welcome to Signs of Compassion. My name is Miggs Burroughs, and this is my tribute to a poem by Emily Dickinson, expressed one word and phrase at a time in American Sign Language by 30 of your fellow humans. It is essentially a silent poetry reading, and this is the poem. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life the aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin unto his nest again, I shall not live in vain. And now here are the individuals signing each word from the poem.
So Miggs, how did
how do those people learn all those signs? To do that?
Yeah, well, actually, a friend, you may know him from the collective, artist collective, Noah Steinman, who's a fine artist, but he learned sign language because he has a twin brother who was deaf, and he had to learn sign language to communicate with him. And so he taught me, you know, each sign, and then I had to teach each signer that sign. It was only one word for each person. But I have to credit the library. The first time it exists as 30 separate photographs, and it first appeared in the library 2 years ago. And from there, and it got quite a positive reaction, and from there it went to a gallery in Hartford for a few months, and then from there it went to Montefiore Hospital in the Bronx for 6 months, and from there it went to the St. Joseph School for the Deaf, where it still is because they got locked down, and it was supposed to, the next stop was the United Nations lobby, and that was all planned and ready to go for September now, and they, of course, got closed down, and hopefully it'll appear at the United Nations in 2021, but still, there's a lot of Westporters in there, and it was just kind of a timely, it's more timely now maybe than...
Maybe our next celebrity guest can shed some light on that.
Oh, good thought. Let's
go for it,
Let's
Alex.
go for Alex, the next celebrity, please.
Is this what my career has come to? Congratulating these two stiffs on their poor excuse for a show. Westport should be chasing them with torches. They're dead to me.
That's one handsome monster there. You know, I always the guy. That monster's so big, and I was just always wondering, like, how big is his foot?
Oh,
you know,
yeah. Well,
and or both feet for that matter.
Well, because you know what they say: big feet, big shoes. Anyway, our guest, we're really happy to have this guest because there's nobody else like him in Westport. Not that nobody likes him. There's nobody like him. I didn't mean nobody likes him. Seth Schachter, who's kind of an obsessive Westport memorabilia collector. And he's brought some material here. And thanks for coming, Seth.
Yeah, Thank you for having me.
I love this kind of material.
There's some really thick bottles there.
Yeah, what do you want to start with?
So I'll talk a little bit about my affinity to antique bottles and particularly Westport. I moved here about 12 years ago. And growing up in a different port, I grew up in Port Jefferson in New York. My brother and I, we dug for antique bottles and collected all sorts of bottles and crocks and things like that. We used to go to old landfills and dump sites like the one that was here, which I knew, by the way.
Good tie-in.
And we carefully dug up all sorts of antique bottles. So when I moved here, I was especially interested in trying to find and collect antique bottles, and I brought some notes with me to talk about some of the things. But the first things that I'll talk about is what many know.
Why don't you put them, that's right, face them this way.
I'm going to turn them this way. This particular company is well known to a lot of Westporters, the Embalmer Supply Company, which today still exists. This is a company that was founded way back in Brooklyn, New York in 1887. And there were two founders. There were C.B. Dolge and Max Hunk, both from Germany. Initially, they were both born in Germany. C.B. was an inventor and businessman, and Max was a pharmacist. And they started this company and came out with tons of patents on embalming, which is a pretty macabre subject and what have you. And over the years, a lot of these bottles come up at garage sales and internet, and I've over the years acquired a bunch. I brought a bunch of them today to show you.
It works. I do a shot every day. It really works.
Yeah, and it's fascinating. When you look at these bottles, they're from the early 1900s. Yeah,
they're beautiful.
Yeah, you look at the imperfections up close. It's hard to see probably on camera here, but there's air bubbles and just the way it was formed. And then some are larger, but the clear bottles, when you collect antique bottles, the clear ones are generally less expensive and less valuable than the tinted ones, the different colors that they came out with. So this more amethyst color here.
So they didn't have labels back.
Would be more
the time
valuable.
back then.
Not at this point. I don't believe there were some that had labels, but over the time, it's harder to find antique bottles with labels. That's the first thing that deteriorates.
Was the coloring to protect it from the light, or is that just decorative, do you think? You know?
I think it was decorative.
Yeah.
I don't think that was a factor because they did make them in clear.
true,
So from what I know. But what's interesting is today we know where Bridgewater is located off of Ford. That area there, that's where their company was located. At one point, it was where the famous artist school, Save Our Children, right there on the river, but they relocated, and they used to use arsenic, which is something that I've heard about from stories on some of the postings that Dan Wogue has shared some of these bottles, and some of the stories that I've heard is that people growing up around there would smell the strong arsenic and what have you, and the chemicals, and it's kind of a scary. This is before formaldehyde was used for embalming, so it's fascinating. And the other thing, I have about 300 postcards at home, but the one I brought today, which I will hold up here for the camera, is one that this company used. And who would have thought that? That's
great.
Let's see if you can see it. Yeah, who would have thought that the embalmers, it kind of makes for a bizarre type of a postcard, but for advertising they used a postcard, and I was able to acquire that over the 11 plus years, almost 12 years that I've been here. A lot of the things, like I said, I found on the internet. I search all over, and then occasionally estate sales and garage sales. The same company, that Dodge, that he also had a company. This, I'll read the bottle first, and then I'll show you. This talks about destroys roaches and bed bugs. So it's a fascinating bottle. Dodge in disinfectants and main offices and laboratories, Westport Con. So that's a kind of a neat bottle too.
So like the big industry back then was like embalming fluid, and I heard someone say coffin
buttons.
Yeah.
There was a factory. Westport was the macabre industries. Yeah.
Definitely interesting.
The buttons that, the button tufted coffins, those little buttons, there was an industry in Westport that made those. Yeah.
Yep, I remember reading about that. And interesting, this company, like I had mentioned, is still around today, just not in Westport. They moved to East Lyme, Connecticut. So they're in East Lyme. And still making
good.
Good.
Around here. We don't want that around here.
I'm sure the Saugatuck River paid a heavy price with many companies located on the river and what have you. I'm sure a lot of the chemicals seeped into or were dumped into the rivers over.
It's no coincidence that Frankenstein introduced your segment.
That's true. And then all of your stories.
We planned it like that 3 weeks ago.
With your prior guest and all the darkness and what have you discussed. So the other thing I brought, there's some bottles that I'll move this to the back here, and I'll move these to the front. Pharmacies would dispense all sorts of bottles. Before the show, we were talking about one of the bottles my brother dug up, Burnett's cocaine, because cocaine was certainly accessible at pharmacies during the early 1900s, late 1800s, I guess.
What did they mix it with? I mean, it couldn't be a whole bottle of pure cocaine essence.
I'm not sure how it was dispensed. I just know the bottle I home does not have any contents in it, but it does say Burnett's cocaine, but it was not Westport, so I did not bring it today. These bottles, one of them is labeled C.J. Green and E.O. Simpson Westport Con, the Westport Drug Company. Jeez. And this one is the Westport Drug Company CEO, Jay Green. So they're both from the same store, and some of Dan Wogue's readers commented and gave some insight on these bottles that date back to the early 1900s, and that they were right there on Main Street. And I know they incorporated, I believe, in 1908, and Jacques Voris and was one of the individuals that Dan follows, and so, he researched some of this.
So let me ask you, so what's your holy grail of something you'd like to get that you don't have yet?
Well, that's a good question. There's some rare postcards that perhaps, some real early ones. The postcards that I collect are all pre-1930, pretty much, most of my collection. So some of the real early ones are tough to find, some of the rare objects or rare subjects.
Do you ever buy stuff from other people's collections for your collection?
I do. Typically those are at garage sales or estate sales where there's a whole collection. Individually, I'll find them on the internet, whether it be eBay or elsewhere. So you never know, but that's a good question. I don't really know. I just like collecting different things, Westport. This bottle here is probably one of my favorite bottles, and I'm not going to probably have time to go over everything, but there's 2 milk bottles that I have This one happens to be located where in the section of Westport that I reside, Greens Farms, and it's E.D. Noy Incorporated. And I've not been able to find much about this company in Greens Farms, except I love the graphics on it. And then one of Dan's readers out there was able to find, I guess, two, Jacques Voris and Wendy Crother were able to research. This is a cool name, Elmer Dorman Noy. So that's E.D. Noy, born in New Haven in 1890 and graduated from New Haven High School, went on to the University of Michigan. He eventually was part of this family, I guess, farm, this dairy farm, and I think it's a really cool milk bottle that is a 9.5-inch Pyro Quart milk bottle. That's what that's called.
Before we run out of time, can we see the badge? Is one of my favorites, just for the aesthetics of it. And then in the meantime, just people who are interested in more, there isn't a website, but look up Dan Wogue, who was just here, 06880 danwogue.com, and because he's done articles on Seth, and there's more stuff to show.
Yeah, so I have all sorts of things, and we can be here all day with the different things that I collect. This happened to appeal to me for many reasons. One, because I used to be an antique dealer. My wife and I and my in-laws had a business in Pennsylvania before we moved here, so we collected a lot of silver. This particular item, hopefully you're able to capture it.
You may have to hold it up a little bit, maybe.
Let's see, I'll hold it up while
Does that work? I don't know.
Let's see if this works.
Does that work?
What?
Okay, I'm going to put it back on the stand.
On the stand? Okay.
And hopefully you'll be able to see it.
Anyway, it's a beautiful...
See if you can get that.
Yeah, oh yeah, there it is.
So it's a real small badge.
Yep.
It's
Got it.
So it's only 2 3/4 inches tall. What makes it interesting is that it's pure silver, 925 silver, sterling silver. So it's sterling silver. We talked about it before. I'm not sure if other badges at this time were sterling, but this is going to date this to the 1930s or 40s. The company that made these, Braxmar, which is marked on the back, they started making badges in 1879. So they've been around a long time, and it's fascinating. It says, police, Westport, Con, and, I haven't gone down to the police department to ask them about it to see if they have any information, but I thought it was pretty interesting, and I liked that it was sterling silver. And I do have another badge at home that's a constable, Westport Constable, but I really have no information on that, and I didn't even know for sure if it's Connecticut. So.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I wish we had more time, and probably maybe we'll do a podcast with you sometime.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much,
thank
Seth.
You. Yeah, thank you, Tracy.
And yes, thank you very much. And now our next
we got another
surprise here.
Celebrities just keep getting bigger.
From a land far, far away.
So Alex, you can run the next one, please.
Did you hear what he said, Miggs?
I'm sorry.
That is so rude.
I want to apologize. We didn't know he was going to drop the F-bomb. So please forgive us. Don't write. We don't screen these things. They just agree to,
And what breed is that? A Chuki? What are they called? I'm really ignorant.
A Wookiee.
Wookiee. Is that a Wookiee? Yeah. I'm going to get
sounds like a
Star Wars hate mail.
Sounds like a skin condition. But so why don't you introduce, because this is you again, Mr. Tracy.
Mr. Tracy's coming up, and so I'm singing a song by Robert Johnson, old blues song, Crossroads, with the fabulous Rob Russo, who's a really great studio musician, toured the world. So I hope you enjoy it. Alec, run it.
Went down to the crossroad, fell down on my knees. Went down to the crossroad, fell down on my knees. Asked the Lord above for mercy, save me if you went down to the crossroad, tried to flag it right. Went down to the crossroad, tried to flag it just pass me by. Going down to Rosedale, had my rider by my side. Going down to Rosedale, had my rider by my side. You can still build a house, baby, down by the riverside. Take it, Rob. Sinking down.
Oh, that was great, Mr. Tracy.
Thank you, Mr. Miggs.
I have a few more shout-outs. Hello to Nancy Lewis is watching. Stacy Curran, thank you. Susan Fellinger is watching, or was watching. Karen Ford, Dorothy Robertshaw, Gail, Jeff Simon. Oh, what's that? Oh, Bill Derry. Yes, thank you, Bill Derry. Yeah, I miss you, Bill. What's
another?
We have a big, as I said, the celebrity.
Keep on coming along.
Bigger. So let's go to the second biggest. We're saving the biggest for last with an interview, but the second biggest is Alex. Roll the next one, please.
Wow! Get a load of this. Miggs and Trace asked me to do a promo for the show, and I thought I have over 138 film and television credits and Academy Award. Why would I spend my time doing that? They should go on a boat ride with Robert Wagner.
That's outrageous, Mr. Tracy.
Bye, Mr. Walken. Thank you for that.
Now, ironically, you live in a property owned by him, right?
Yes, I thought we were. Yeah,
you used to.
Yes.
Your belongings are out in the backyard in a bonfire right now. Okay, Ixnay on the walk-in.
Ixnay Miggs.
Sorry. It's just a little celebrity trivia. So anyway, this is a real, our next interview, a guest, we're kind of do remotely. She's not here. It's Melissa Newman, and she's a longtime Westporter. She's an activist, she's an artist, she's a singer, and this was just a wonderful interview. So, and thank you, Melissa, for doing it. And Alex, let's roll the interview. 3, 2, 1. Hello, Newman.
Did you plan that?
Yes. You totally like.
So now the question is, was that how many times have you heard that?
I can imagine like the brother discussion. Like, wouldn't it be funny?
Oh, yeah.
And then
Never heard it before. Never.
Oh, sure. Okay. Anyway, we're trying to think of a cute way to introduce you, but
That was cute.
so anyway, this is our special guest, Melissa Newman, and very pleased to have you on our live, semi-live broadcast here at the library. So you grew up in Westport. Did you, from birth? I mean, were you?
My parents bought the house that I live in 1961, which was the year I was born.
No.
Yeah. I have to say that I was participating in a small protest, and somebody drove by me in Westport. Somebody drove by and said, "Go home." And I thought to myself, it doesn't get more home. 1961.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more home you can get. Yeah, and then my husband and I bought the house for my parents when our son was 2, and he is now 24. So I would say that I can call Westport home, and that would be accurate.
I mean, people ask me if I've lived here all my life, and I say not yet, but essentially, yeah.
That is true. God willing, right?
So what do you miss? I mean, you've seen a lot of changes. You want to just mention a few places that you loved and missed that we all...
Well, I think one thing that that the three of us share is that we are kind of oldie Westporty, and sometimes I do feel like I'm 110 because I go down that rabbit hole with people who are like, I remember when it was like this, and
the blacksmith shop on Main Street.
Yeah, farm stand. I was thinking Rippy's Farms. I think that was I have memories of my dad squeezing melons, which I'm sure many people do. At Rippy's Farms. Yeah, we were there all the time. What was the hamburger place?
Big Top? The Big Top?
Oh, not big.
No?
We weren't Big Top people. We
oh,
were,
no.
What's his name? He was the man.
Chubby Lane.
Chubby Lane. Chubby Lane's and the little plastic monkeys that would go on the drinks, and we lived in that place. And I was just thinking about the farm stands that, it's really nice that the farm stands are carrying on the tradition. We just stopped in at Double L Farm Stand to see Lloyd today. Viv's Veggies we stopped at today, which is on Lions Plains Road, which is amazing. And I used to live right next door. I used to own the house at the end of the field before they did such a beautiful job of fixing it up, I have to say. It wasn't as nice. And then I also have to give a shout out to Reservoir Farm in Bridgeport, which is really cool place. It's like education, farm education, like local community farm, and they are amazing. And they have a farm stand there too that I think is open on the weekends and other times. So try to support, all those places.
Yeah, you and your family was all, very about conservation and you still are, right? You're very active in that.
I actually just finished my 8-year term being on the board at Aspetuck Land Trust, and as they say, I'm happy to say they don't want to get rid of me. They don't want to let me go so easily, and so I'll certainly be participating with stuff that they do. But they are amazing, and anybody who doesn't know about them should look them up. And also they have, I'll say we, because I still feel like I'm part of it, and I am a member. They have 40 trails in Wilton, Easton, Westport, Weston, and expanding into other areas. And a really, it's not, I can't remember how much it is for a family membership. It's not a lot, but I'll say, having served on that board, they spend their money in all the, like, they use it for land preservation. It's like the little land trust that could, and it's gotten much bigger and really amazing. Go on their website. I feel like I'm just shilling for all my, this is an opportunity for me.
All worthy.
Shill for all my favorite places.
Don't forget to show the poster.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah,
So let's show you want to do a
Okay.
little prelude to what I'm going to show in a minute.
Yeah, this was a really amazing thing that happened to me. I volunteered at Bedford Women's Correctional Facility for about 20 years, and one day, a social worker came up to me and said, "I have something for you." And I said, "What?" I didn't even know this guy. And I said, "What could you possibly have for me?" And it took him about like a year and a half to get it to me. But one day he actually had it in his car. And I was thinking, well, what could this guy have, you know? And he pulled out this poster that he said he had found it in a thrift store, and he thought of me and he had to buy it. And I wasn't expecting much. He pulled out this poster. So I guess originally it was my dad was stumping for Johnson, and it blew me away. So we did a reprint of it, and I have to say, Miggs was hugely helpful on this. We did a reprint of it just to give it a little bit more sort of broad appeal, nonpartisan, broad appeal, research, register, vote. You know, this is America. This is what we have to do to make America. You know, we're by, of, and for the people. And, you know, it's incumbent on you to educate yourself and vote. And I think my dad would be really, really happy about this. And I'm going to try to find a time when I can, hopefully, you know, within the next couple of weeks, and if it's okay with the library, that I could, you know, put my little deck chair out there. And I'm going to do like I'm going to do probably a run of just like 8x10s or legal size, just because it could get, you know, expensive, but just to be able to hand them out a black and white copy of it. And so we'll see if we can arrange that with the library, that I could just maybe be outside the library and hand those out without touching them, or, you know, we'll figure out some way to hand them off that's safe.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm sort of taking a right turn here.
Yeah.
So what's it like? What was it like growing up with like two sort of celebrity iconic personalities, American treasures? What was that like?
You know, I would never say that the bad outweighed the good. It was definitely complicated, and I could go down that rabbit hole for sure. It was difficult. But having said that, I always say if I had to have two movie stars for parents, I'm glad I had the ones that not the ones I got, because I think about the movie stars I could have had, and I think I was pretty darn lucky.
Yeah, you wouldn't want Fatty Arbuckle as a father. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Fuzzy.
Well, yeah. Okay. that was like okay. Now people are gonna go look up Fatty Arbuckle, and you'll get the reference. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, of all the people you could have mentioned, I wasn't thinking of him, but yeah, that.
I know. Well, I was trying to take it away from everybody.
You did a good job. Yes, you know, I have to say that Westport was wonderful to my family in the way that I feel that they really protected our family. I mean, I think they. You know, it was that lovely sort of relationship. I feel like the community was really protective of my parents, who obviously weren't the only celebrities. And I think when they moved here, really Westport was full of artists and writers. That's why they moved here. It was very much artists, writers, and really old time Westport people. Cops, teachers, and firemen could all afford to live here, so it was more. You know, the people that were in the community were all able to live here, which was something I think doesn't work anymore.
Well, and I should, because you probably won't say it on your own behalf, but speaking of artists, I mean, you're an incredible ceramicist and as well as a singer, and you know, people may know it or not recognize you from up there doing your thing, but. We only have like a minute left, but are you singing remotely anywhere, or where can people?
Well, I have my Instagram, which I think, oh gosh, I changed it. It was, I think it's still Melissa Mudd and Music. Melissa Mudd and Music.
Okay.
1D. 2Ds will get you to a site that you probably don't see. My bad. And unfortunately, I'm not making music. I used to sing at Pearl, you know, like once a month or so. And with the jazz rabbi and his whole setup there, and hopefully someday we'll get back to Thursday Jazz. because that was an amazing gig. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to find some way to, be hanging out on a corner somewhere, busking. Guaranteed, all the money will go to charity. And also, at some point, maybe selling this poster in a more elaborate, version, and maybe just trying to cover my costs. And then if we make $4.50, it can, it'll go to something. We'll figure out what that is.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
this is really the end. So we're going to say goodbye to Melissa, and thank you so much for your time.
Guys,
Brief as it was.
make it so easy, and we'll I'll see you next time.
Okay.
Or see you in the parking lot.
Yes. No, we'll be there.
That was nice.
Yeah, it was so nice of her to do that. And I don't know if she's still listening, but thank you again, Melissa. And I just want to recognize Jackie Beck is watching, and she said she didn't see her name on the list.
Hi, Jackie.
You're there, Jackie. Hello. Dave Pressler, Pamela Kesselman. So actually, let's go right into, because we have one more musical thing after this, but first we have one more minor celebrity to hear from. So let's roll that, Alex.
Shalom! It's me, George. I'm crossing the Potomac, which coincidentally is the Native American word for podcast. What? They say I'm revolting, but have you heard these two putzes? Hey, they!
I don't know what to say. I'm speechless.
It's our first president, was born in the Borscht Belt, I think. Or,
yeah, probably, I guess.
Well, anyway, our final, we have a performance. Many of you may not know this, but Aztec Two-Step, which was formed in 1971 with Neil Schulman and Rex Fowler. They've been recording many, many years, and now it's Aztec Two-Step 2.0 because Rex married Dodie Pettit, who's a musician and a star in her own right. She was in the original Phantom of the Opera, and she was in Cats. Anyway, now they're the new Aztec Two-Step, and we have a performance, a very uplifting performance by them. So, Alex, let's roll that one.
Hi, I'm Dodie.
And I'm Rex, and we're in Aztec Two-Step. Yep.
And we just want to congratulate Miggs
And Trace for their new show,
Oh Brother, Not Another Podcast. Have
Good
a
luck,
great-
guys. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm in love again. At least this time I think I am. Oh, I'm in love again. Oh, I'm in love again. At least this time I think I am. Oh, I'm in love again. All my She tells me on the telephone that I have broken her resistance. She can't wait till I get oh, 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 I'm in love again. At least this time I think I am. Oh, I'm in love again. One more time now. Oh, I'm in love again. At least this time I think I am. Oh, I'm in love again. Oh, I'm in love again. At least this time I think I am. Oh, whoa, I'm in love again. Oh, I'm in love again. At least this time I think I am. Oh, I'm in love again. All right, here we go.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
That was terrific. And we should mention Chris Coogan was playing the keyboards. They're all from Westport. I mean, Rex and Dodie and Chris Coogan was there on the keyboards, all Westporters. And that's great.
That's it,
I
isn't
think
it?
that's it.
I want to thank Bill and the team.
Yeah, Bill and Alex and Cody and David Bibby and all the camera work and the switching and the whole thing that goes into this. It's a lot of work behind the scenes. And Bill Harmer made it all possible. If they let him out of the handcuffs. No, thank you very much. And we are done.
We're done.
Thank you.
Thank
all
you very much, everyone, for coming to hear our show.